Good morning.
Good morning, Shadi.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Finally, I've met the president.
Thank you. Karibu. This is the setup. Yes.
Karibu sana, boss.
You're waiting for the fifth president. This is already the fifth. We're just waiting to implement and see that the old man takes as the other youths also jog related to the leadership position.
Right.
Yes.
So you're telling me in a nutshell, who is the fifth here?
You see, as a Democrat and a person who understands politics, about the politics of this country, the politics of this country is seen 2 years before.
What do you mean?
Yes.
2 years before the election?
You ask the people who, the pundits of politics, you see our president in 2 years to election. In
history,
yes,
these pundits have prophesied and given wrong interpretation of politics, and there are few matters and issues that have not happened.
So you see again, pundits gives opinion, what the technical understanding of politics. But as you know, African politics, the truth, there's the pronounced leader and the elected leader.
Okay.
Yes. But again, a president or a person leads a senior position is seen 2 years before the election.
Right. You'll be explaining me in much detail concerning matters about your punditry in terms of politics and how you view the whole setup of our politics and the campaign as well. But thank you so much for coming through. And if somebody is watching you for the very first time, you know, you are quite a known name, particularly here in Coast. It matters about student leadership. But who exactly is Mathews Okello?
Let me just correct you. Mathews is known to the right people. Maybe the people who have refused to know me, they decide not to know me. But I'm known, popular among the as leadership of Coast is concerned. Live alone Mombasa County.
Coast?
Yes.
Right.
I live in Kenya.
How far have you gotten?
I believe my followers knows, but I believe I have done so well in politics. Yes, the history has it.
Very true. And talking about student leadership and politics, you know, that is one of the few areas at which mostly you people who lead these institutions, you fall into politics. How do you do that?
You see leadership of just right from primary school, secondary school to college or university or any other learning institution, even the church. Leadership is something that a leader is born.
Right.
Some are made, but the best leaders are born across the world. You'll ask anybody who is a leader today, you must have been a leader somewhere. So it's that drive that you've led and you led people successfully.
Where did you start from?
I began to become a leader long years ago, right from class 3.
Class 3?
Throughout secondary school.
You are prefect somewhere?
And I think in the Kenyan history, I'm the first pupil or student who become a school captain of primary school or in class 6. It's not a normal thing.
Why do you feel they chose
Most people tend and go at class 8, and then went through to secondary school, served for 4 years, went to college and went served for other positions, and now these people trusted me again. And now the national party is also calling me, come closer.
Okay.
That's why we're saying that youth must also move and get to politics.
Do you have any sort of aspiration to come closer, the way you have mentioned it?
I'm sure in 10 years' time, I'll be the president of this country.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is Mr. Okello. In 10 years' time, you'll be the president?
Yes, of this country.
No doubt at all?
No doubt. And 2027, I'll be the governor.
Very true.
Yes.
Where?
Of any county in this country.
Any county?
Because any Kenyan citizen allowed to vie for any position. But yet we tell you.
Okay. And straight into it, do you feel youths have been given the opportunity they deserve into leadership?
Youth should not be given opportunities to serve in leadership. Youth should grab opportunities to become leaders of their own.
Do they have the muscles to grab?
Definitely, any government or any parastatal or any other institution. Do you have an old man here serving in the TV? That is true. It's wrong. It's only you have a batch machoka still serving. But the youth have the muscles, the manpower, the numbers, and everything to take these positions in leadership across the continent.
Do you feel people have faith in youth leadership?
Yes, but because, let me ask you this. Most elites are led by the youth.
For instance?
Colleges and universities are led by students, are youth. They are youth.
Okay.
We have other people who have served in the leadership as youth. We have Baba Owino here serving as the MP of Embakasi East.
Right.
Johnson Sakaja is a young senator and coming up with the next governor. We have governor of Nandi County, is a young man.
But looking
and
at
have successfully.
good, and looking at these few names that you've just mentioned to me,
Yes.
people are poking holes on the kind of leadership styles
Yes.
they portray.
Yes.
Do you feel also it's quite a matter that we are supposed to ask ourselves, is it high time that we should at least look into these matters about, even though we want to say youths, they become leaders, but we need to look at certain qualities?
I don't know what quote you want us to refer at, but according to my understanding, leadership are around two things: mobilize and deliver. But these people have delivered.
Okay.
They have never been ranked the poorest performing among the old people who we call the carcass of politics. Yes.
What makes you feel, and this is a direct question from the talk, people are saying that so far they feel youths have not yet been given that opportunity, and there is so much advocacy and so much campaign in trying to push the youths to get into leadership.
So my understanding of Kenyan and African politics, that as most allied do say that Kenyan politics have, the African politics have the affinity for what you have in your pocket or what you can give the people. Which youths, given their nature of little experience to gather all this wealth, they don't have the capacity or the muscle, the financial muscle, to maybe mobilize or finance the political campaigns and maybe fund people to believe in them. As politics is about perception, but most of our people do not believe in perception. I'm sorry to mention it, but I have to mention this here, that most people who surround the deputy president of this country, to my understanding, most of them are persuaded by what they can give in public. But the country's people's president, Raila Amolo Odinga, is followed by the perception and what he tells the people.
Right.
Let me surprise you, that gentleman, you go to anywhere, he's loved. I remember the ranking of most influential people in the world, it was 50th and third in Africa after Alibaba.
Right.
Not even other president of this country.
We have recent polls that are showing which side has got the best perception in improvement of the economy, and bottom up is leading.
Okay, that's just a perception, but look at the implementation. Okay, so you may have a good perception, but who will implement it? Kenya right now is running under the devolved government. Uganda, who was the engineer behind this devolution. So we find that the people who purport to be the good people, they've been in the government, they've served in the government, but they've rendered nothing completely.
Right.
Yes. So I believe that as youth also drive to politics, and experience is required, and at least you may be a young youth, but you've served in different capacities as a leader,
Right.
and you can deliver as a leader.
If somebody is watching you right now, Okello,
Yes.
and he feels and wants to be like you, what does it take to reach where you've got into leadership?
Leadership is a call, and that's in a call that tells you, come out, lead the people.
Does being so much noisy and talking too much out there make you a leader?
Not really.
Right.
Leadership, okay, I'll mention about the difference between leadership and activism. You can be an activist, you can be a leader, you can be a leader, but both you can serve as a leader and also an activist.
Right.
But not all activists serve as leaders. But African politics, we combine the two. And therefore, because people believe a leader is a person who can represent people. And you can't represent people when you're quiet. You speak, must be vocal. I want to give you an example of the likes of Kcnp, Mheshimiwa Sudi, whom I respect, I really envy.
Right.
From nothing to leadership because of his vocalness. And you know how strong is he around the deputy president.
Right.
You know the likes of Junet Mohammed, very vocal people. Other people like Babu Owino was vocal in school, and it's now very strong pillars around the fifth president, Raila Amolo Odinga. Yes.
And if we are to push and inspire and instill the spirit of leadership into the youth currently,
Yes.
and they feel looking at this country, it's like the youths are left behind a little bit concerning matters about leadership, even though we've made strides due to these matters about devolution and more youths are coming in. What can you tell the youths, those who are seeking to become leaders?
So I'll begin by this. First of all, I'll try to educate the people. Again, it's us youth. We have the numbers. But even if you decide to elect everybody a leader in this country, if you want. But us youths have forgotten, even forgotten our old people, that we want them to fund us. Like for example, if I say I have the capability of vying for any governor position because I have the academic credentials, I qualify too. But now let me say I want to be the governor of this county, Mombasa. You will ask him, who is he? What does he have? Who does he know?
Where does it come from?
Where does he come from?
Right.
I get the point. So it's the challenge that the electorate has, the affinity we have for the money in our pockets. And side time the youth, I really envy some people, some philanthropists that mentioned that people say that we have to think out of the box. But the question is, we need to think without the box because you don't know who brought the box.
Right.
So we have been kept in a cocoon that we don't understand. But the youths really, if they decide even they want to elect everybody in this country, because we are there more than 75% of the voters.
Right.
And the president only needs 50 plus 1%. So that means we can deliver with the president.
The 70%, 75% you're talking about here,
Yes.
We do not speak in one voice. What is the problem?
The problem I told you, the educated youths who should be taking the leadership position are the people who really want to be funded so that they make some unnecessary noise. And wait, you'll see. Even the most educated people you will respect. I'm sorry, it will not be me. We'll be running on the streets, walking even naked, in the name of shouting over name, but because I've given him 50 shillings or 100 shillings.
Right.
So we have the affinity for money, but not the interest to serve this country. But again, look at this country without the youth. Who'll be running, who'll be giving these ideas.
Right.
We have old people, but the people who advise them are the technical team and the youth. In any position, go to any county government, go to any government. Even the communication department, they set out are youth. But when they come to the top position, we don't want to give them. Because we may be fear, they take a country in another direction.
Right. I'll have a bone to chew with the youths looking into how we, celebrate these older guys that you're mentioning here and why is it so. But before then, there's this thing you have to mention. This culture and this affirmative that you're mentioning here,
Yes.
how do we get to kill it?
Fine. We are, and I said this, I committed this. This is something that I took an oath out. That I will only vote if a youth is in a position to be elected. What do I mean? I myself must support a youth, and anybody who respects me, understands me, and envy me, I'll tell him to elect a youth. That means for any position, an MC, a senator, well, if there's no youth vying in any position, then I'd rather keep my vote and keep it. Because you always have to thank the old people for having brought us up, but they also have to give us space for us right now. But we won't ask them to give. We'll go for this position similarly as
Right.
also, because we are also Kenyan citizens who have all the democratic right to vie and be elected for these political positions.
It is said out there that we are the leaders of tomorrow, and that has been quite a saying that most youths are not taking up lying low this time round.
Tomorrow won't come. Tomorrow won't come. Before you realize tomorrow, you're already gone. The people who are dying most are the youth. So it's high time we rise now. This is the time. We have a number of people, and that's why me, I'm moving across the youthful leadership. If you're a youth with the little muscle that I have, the support I have, regardless of which political bloc you come from, as long as that you are a youth, I will go for you and will tell you how we need to go these positions. But I'll tell you, we have nurtured so many people. You'll be surprised in Mombasa County Assembly, we have so many youths as MCS,
Right.
which we are supporting across the country. May I move across the country, not only limited to Mombasa. I have friends in even in North Rift, where the deputy comes from. They are vying in the different positions. We are supporting them. And we are saying that youth must be partners of politics, not ladders to abuse in place.
If that's what you're mentioning here happens,
Yes.
where do you think this country is headed if at all we fill youths into this position across the country?
Look at a youthful president. Instead of working for 8 hours, he'll work for 12 hours. The higher the working hours, the more the deliverance. This country will be very far. Then as part of 5 years, we'll have a transformation. Look at if you have the ministers as youth. Instead of moving in 2 areas supervising the government project, this person will move on 20 or 50. Because youth have the energy, they are fast, they are prompt, and they're sharp. Yes. I know, I'm a student of ICT. You understand how a computer system operates when is congested with issues or information. The processor becomes slower. But look at this person is fresh. The knowledge acquired from school is still fresh. This person can think very fast and deliver.
Right.
So we believe in good leadership of the youth. This country will be very safe and very strong.
Very safe indeed. And also mentioning about this country in the fact that how we perceive our youths and speaking to the youths themselves, before we even bring this kind of topic here, we must speak to the youths concerning a few issues.
Definitely.
And they're blaming the leaders entirely on the few problems that these youths are facing here. Talking about unemployment, there's issues about getting tenders here and there. It has been quite a challenge. These problems that the youths are currently facing, do you think one day we may do without?
We won't wait for it to happen. We have to make it. And this is the language I want to tell the youths. Like I myself, I say that youths, first of all, you have to unite. Look at how the old men live and react when they are having issues. I mean, the youths only meet when they're having something to destroy or something to laugh about or something to joke about, like maybe sports, something like that. But again, look at the youths, the old people get into business.
Right.
Can youths connect together and form a company? The little fund that you have, the 40,000, 100,000, or even 1 million that you have, we bring together a partner, form a business, and then we come tycoons in this country. We want to talk about the deep state in government decision making. We have to also have the youthful deep states to ensure that we have the financial muscles to also make decisions in government. you see, we, the young people...
Is it a fallacy or a reality somewhere?
Bro, politics, the top positions are decided by a group of people. My friend, there are people who believe that we invested in this country and they really want to care who manages their money. And their deep states are true.
Why then are we going to vote?
I'm not saying that they are going to vote. Numbers are needed. It's a democratic process. But again, of course, for example,
if at all it's a democratic process, why would you even mention and tell us that there are fewer cocoon of people?
What I mean is this. I, Mathews Okello, may want to vie for this president of the Republic of Kenya.
Right.
If I maybe hit the age of 35 as the Constitution requires. But again, you have to be supported by a group of people. I don't say that they also voted, they only have one vote. But again, the muscle, the financial muscle, the people who respect, like I'll give an example of small groups of like the Mount Kenya Foundation. These are groups who has helped so many people. So people want to associate.
Do you want to tell me, for instance, the Mount Kenya Foundation, do we have youths inside the Mount Kenya Foundation itself?
My friend, those people, youths don't have the financial muscle. So then that appear.
Then, which means
that's the biggest undoing of this country. Yes.
Okay. When I get into politics, I guess.
And that's why I said youths must also become deep states of them. And how do we become? Bring the financials together. I want us to understand.
Do we even, in the first place, have the financials to bring together?
How will
from there?
How will you have if the youths are not even employed? You come right from the college, you're told you need 5 years experience just to be a driver of a school.
Now, so listening to you,
imagine become a minister by just a bachelor degree, maybe in a city. It's only Joe Michero who did, and because of a few here and there, and that's right, those positions.
With this kind of connection and with this kind of network that is needed here for the youths to get where we are supposed to be getting, at least to have that space, it takes a lot. And my question is, do you feel like we, the youths, we are fighting a battle that we are not going to win anytime soon?
The future is very bright. And I said, our example here have stood to what is rightful for us. We are saying we will not wait for the network. We are going to form our own network. How do we start? We'll begin in the smallest position, but they say even in the Bible writes this. Remember the parable of the feast, the feast. They look very, very, very small. The fig tree, that is. It begins from a small beginning and it grows. So we won't wait to run for the president of this country. But we want to mobilize a few youths who have decided to grab these positions, to rise in small positions like the MCA. We'll have the numbers in the members of county assembly so that we can make some of these bills. In the parliament, the number is growing. Wait for this election, we'll have over 100. These youths, if they understand where we have come from, they will unite and form a very big tsunami to change the revolution of this political dynasty of this country. But again, it's something that must start with us. We won't wait for people telling us that the tomorrow leadership is there. Nothing like that.
Right.
Wait, even in Mombasa County, to see over 15 or 20 youths as MCs.
Very true. Now, last but not least, before even taking a short break here, there's this matter that is coming in. yes, we might elect youths and get into the different positions, starting from the members of county assembly, others may end up being members of parliament. But it says that once they get inside there, they follow the status quo and there is nothing new that they bring on board. How true is that? And do you think it's something that is happening?
I always say this, and this is my understanding of the leadership of this country. We, the youths, like I will give example of the likes of my respected friend Babu Wino. Mm-hmm. He has served as a Embakasi East MP.
Right.
He has served his interests. The occasion he has stood with the youth, several occasions. But again, as you also serve your interests, the people whom you respect and envy. It's not wrong that you envy an old person. The old person may be good enough. Mm-hmm. The old trouser may be good as much as you have the new trouser.
Right.
Yeah, so no big deal on supporting the old people. Mm-hmm. But again, as I said, there's that interest of the youth that you must have. But again, the government must change this understanding. Like I saw the other time, the old man Mudia Wori being appointed to serve the youth funds. So you fail to understand how and where. That position is meant to be the youth. Even some ministries like devolution should be run by the youth. Because there are majorly people rotating about the youth. Because devolution and everything is supporting around the youth. Mm-hmm. So I believe that the government must change the position and appoint such for these youth who have the brain and the capacity to serve in these particular positions. Right. Kenyan youth, a democratic voter and a democratic Kenyan citizen of this country, who really want good things. And as I told you, youths are educated, youths are wise enough to make individual decisions, to support the bloc that they like and they feel can take this country in the right direction.
Right.
I personally, I will say that a country that do not know history, it's a lost country. Mm-hmm. Country and the Kenyan government must tell the youths and the young people about their history, where they are coming from. If you don't know where you're coming from, then you cannot move and go the right direction.
Right.
The past mistakes that we've done in elections, the past leadership or the bad leadership that we've had in this country should educate us enough to make wise decisions and see the person who wants goodwill for this country.
Hold that thought. Before we even get far,
yes.
This mistake that you're mentioning, yes. Was it done by the youths themselves?
Most of them have been done by the youths. Mm-hmm. By following people who can give them handouts, right, instead of giving them good ideas.
Okay.
Those people change and give them a roadie. Mm-hmm. Like right now, we are being pushed by a few funds. And you see, somebody once said that if you see somebody, this is Julius Nyerere said that if you see somebody so aggressive to get a position, fear that person.
Everyone is aggressive.
There are things about, they are aggressive and there's somebody wanted by force, by power, by fire, if I may say that. Mm-hmm. Fear that person.
Right.
We have been moving across this country. As I told you, we are moving around the country to ensure that we elect the right leaders. We are educating leaders across Kenya, not only Mombasa. Right. And that's why we are saying that we have grown and we have made a decision as youth. So the point here is that when a youthful society take the right direction, like what's undoing of this country is lack of unity and peace, mm-hmm, and corruption. Therefore, the youth should be driven to a person who is fighting corruption. A youth should be driven towards somebody who is trying to build the economy of this country through ensuring that there's no discrimination of gender, age, and ensure that person who wants peace for this country. Our top leaders, the head of the state, a man who I envy and respect, Mheshimiwa Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, mm-hmm, and our able father of this country, Raila Amolo Odinga, mm-hmm, have shown us the direction that we can unite. Look at what Kenya has built since 2018, after the handshake march. It's more than what we've done since Kenya got independence. Mm-hmm. So our main undoing is purely lack of unity. If we unite, of course we'll fight corruption, right, openly, because there's this belief that if I'm a Luo and I've stolen money, then the Luo will say that we are targeted. Mm-hmm. Do I see with the Luos? I don't see the Luos. So when we're united, we'll see that we are fighting corruption as a country. not as a community. Therefore, our biggest undoing is, one is unity. Number two is corruption. This corruption will lead to unemployment because you have to corrupt somebody to get positions. This means we have leaders who are wise, somebody who is competent to serve in any position in this country. And performance is driven about competency. When you are competent enough, you deliver in any capacity you are appointed to serve us.
Right.
So therefore, youth should be driven to a line that will ensure that eradicate three. One, promote unity and eradicate ethnicity and differences. Two, fighting corruption. I get the point. That is the where the youth should go. I won't tell them where, but they are wise enough. Youth are wise enough and sharp enough to know this.
Right. You know, it's better if we, hit the nail on top of its head.
Yes.
And here, we've got two contestants that, of course, it's already on public domain that the topmost contestants in the 2022 general election. We have President William Ruto and the ODM leader, right?
Yes.
And the biggest question that youths are asking this morning is, who exactly has the agendas of youths at heart?
I will say this, and it's open in the public domain, that Raila Amolo Odinga has been fighting for the democracy of this country entire of his life. And the things if I tell about the
youth need the democracy.
Of course we need. If we need democracy, that the youth will be given positions in leadership democratically without giving handouts to the people who are in those positions to give them.
Right.
Raila has been fighting democracy all his life. He has a lot of revolutionary changes, and that's why he's saying that we have served in the first revolution was to throw away the white people who have taken the dominancy of this country. The second liberation was our constitution, because the previous constitution was on one side of the country. You see, a constitution is driven about a community. How do you, a constitution of Kenya may not apply in maybe US, but may serve the people of that country. A doctrine may serve a society, like even in the media station, you have your doctrines as a both TV. So a specific law or a policy may serve in a specific region. So Kenya needed a good constitution.
Right.
Number three, now we have the youthful
agendas that each
yes.
function is propelling up there.
Yes.
Let's begin looking at each of the two. And let me start from the side at which you support, that is being a side. That, of course, I believe you do understand the agendas that they have in place for the youth.
Very good, yeah.
Are they practical? Are they achievable, And how do that even resonate with the common youth here?
I will explain that. I want to say this, a gentleman said that politics is about a record. What did you do previously? You must have served somewhere. That's why I said you need some experience.
True.
The deputy president has served as the deputy president of this country for 10 years. This is 9th year, probably the 10th year. What has he offered for the people across the country? That's the question. Compared to Raila Amolo Odinga again, he served as the prime minister. And that's the only time I think he served in the government. That's the only time, in all his time, he served in the government. Look at the good things that happened. When the Kenya economy was the most stable, was in the 2008-2012 government, the coalition government. I'm aware about the Kenyan history, and I know how governments operate. Kenya performed very well. Few debts, little corruption, though Kenyans have that affinity for money, but we are trying to fight the same corruption, but they perform. So this is a person given opportunity in the top position. I'm very sure this country is safe. Now, back on where I support, Raila says that he's going to give 6,000 to every Kenyan. That is very practical. If you block where we lose money for corruption, that money can be taken for social welfare. They have the Baba Care. The 6,000, you have the Pesa kwa wazee. Is it applicable or applicable? It's applicable.
But
there was this. Yes, everything cannot be 100%, even you are not 100%. But at least we are putting into implementation. Brazil, as an example, they began this issue of welfare, the social welfare of the people. They are doing it completely. Brazil and us, we are in the same category as third world country. So it is just a few things that about corruption and everything that will embezzle our funds. But this money properly managed and conduct the right purpose, I'm very sure these agendas are purely applicable. The social welfare of the 6,000, the Baba Care for universal health coverage, where if you can't pay yourself, the government pays for you, it's applicable. But of course, the government has all the records. The government knows all the wealth that you have, how broke you are or how rich you are. So they will tell this person, this youth needs this, and this do not need this.
Right.
Very
so
good.
You're telling us, if at all the loopholes about corruption succeed, that's where that will be practical, and it will be easy enough to be rolled out.
Definitely.
Right? And of course, looking at the other side at which you feel that that the agenda does not appear practical,
yes.
Why do you poke holes into it? And why do you say it's not realistic?
I said this and I repeat again, that election or a position of leadership requires a track record. The person that purported that has good agenda for this country has served as a minister of agriculture. And at the time when maize was brought from Mexico within 8 hours to reach in this country, not possible, that might be a miracle.
Yeah.
Even Jesus fed the 5,000 people, but later in the evening, he must have gathered some fish around, maybe bread. But maize was brought in this country within 8 hours or 15 hours, within 1 hour, within 24 hours. Look at that. From Mexico. And yet we have farmers who grow maize here. That's number one. Number two, this gentleman served in the Ministry of Higher Education, in the government. That's the time we had a lot of problems in the education system. In the universities, in the colleges. This same person has served also as the top position. In fact, let me say they were serving as top presidents in 2013-2017 election. Because in the 20 ministries, he had 10, Uhuru had 10. Top position. The government is run about a few ministries. There are just portfolios. You had finance, you had mining, you had agriculture. What else do you want? The economy is built about agriculture and finances. The government, the gentleman offered nothing completely.
Taking a swipe at deputy president and leaving the side of President Uhuru Kenyatta, he was the head of state.
My friend, I serve as the president. The decision to make individual.
Right.
Top position, because that decision affects people who the gentleman represents.
If at all, if yes, we serve the country and the government as two people,
yes.
And you are pushing us to take, the blame game by ourselves and leaving the other side,
We are not blaming anybody here.
Don't you think it's quite unfair?
It's not unfair. It's very pragmatic that when the two gentlemen, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, took the oath to serve in the position, otherwise I always say that Uhuru Kenyatta is a gentleman. I can allow that. This is the gentleman who has appeared in the public domain, right, in the presence of the president, mentioning and launching government projects in the presence of your boss. One principle of leadership: never try to outsmart your master, no matter how stupid you be. Right? And I give example of Joe Biden. He was almost 20 years older than Barack Obama.
Right.
He remained loyal and waited for his time to serve as the president of the United States of America.
True. Right. Let me take you back to the agendas, of course, of the UDA party, a party which is affiliated by the Deputy President William Ruto, amongst which is a reviving of the economy through the bottom-up model that seeks to begin from below here to go up, and making sure that also the youths get up jobs and they are given monies to do business. Don't you think that is what youths want?
First of all, before I go to that, you may take a crate of eggs from me and then give me 2. Shall I celebrate?
What do you mean by that?
You steal money from me, give me a little, then I should celebrate you. If the government had projects that say this money is meant for the youth funds, the government has the position to give the fund to the youth, through the youth groups and other businesses led by the youth. Like when the BBI was here, which we throw with a basket or with the whole basket, we don't even care the good thing about the BBI.
Right.
BBI had good ideas where they say the youth will be given some period to pay the loans. We threw it away. And therefore, the same person comes tells you that now support the youth.
The BBI in itself, listening to how the case was still proceeding,
yes,
before something, it's normally that anything that is before the courts we cannot comment about.
Yes.
But those who did not agree to the BBI say that the BBI had nothing new to bring on board. Because if you're mentioning here that it's giving us a grace period of whatever, I don't know, monies that are supposed to be given, these kind of positions that are supposed to be created, I don't know, grace period for monies, these are things that are there. And we also have entities that are supposed to do this stuff.
Let me tell you this, brother Shadi. In politics of Kenya, which I understand properly, people in government and people who do not support the government, they want to try to remain relevant, even if they have nothing to be relevant about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, 75% BBI was good. There are just a few areas which we required a full force to look at. Okay, fine, where does it not favor us? You see, you cannot just say that, okay, this kid is an albino and therefore he has nothing to offer. Mm-hmm. Look at the brain, maybe he has. BBI actually, to my opinion, had the answers to the youthful unemployment, youthful lack of funds, and everything about this country. But we threw it away completely because we wanted to remain relevant.
Mm-hmm.
Who brought this? Shadi brought this. Therefore, I'm not supporting Shadi. Therefore, I have to oppose your ideas.
We did not pull it. It would not. We Kenyans did not. In fact, if it were to come for the referendum, we would have said Kenyans played a very critical role in politics.
Shadi, we have two types of democracy.
Mm-hmm.
We have representative democracy and heavy democracy.
Right.
Why did you trust your MP?
Mm-hmm.
Why did you trust your MCA?
I trusted my MP and my MP.
Very good. Why, when they make a decision as a chamber, and then you refuse? This thing went through
They did not make the solid decision by themselves. They went into party positions and things like that. That's why we did not agree to whatever they were doing.
So, are you blaming the party or blaming your leader?
Both.
How?
If, for instance, Kenyans what are saying, what Kenyans feel, and how it's viewed out there in reasons as to why the BBI did not see the light of the day, it's public participation. It has been questioned, and they feel that it was not a pro-mwananchi initiative, which, according to the side of which the deputy president comes in, they say, yes, it was not a pro-mwananchi initiative.
Shadi, everything in this country, if you want it to look bad, you look bad. Even me, myself, you will say that if you have a person that I want to be bad to you, I'll be bad to you. But I'm telling you, free and fair, right, bro, that the BBI, to my opinion, had gone some procedures which are legally accepted in this country. It went through all the 47 county assemblies, and majority of them accepted.
Right.
And we believe that these people who represent our views. I believe an MCA must have come to your area to get your opinion so that you can represent it in Parliament, or in the county assembly, or in the national assembly. It went through all the legal organs that have been influenced. But as I told you, there are people who believe they have to remain relevant, even if they have nothing to do.
Right.
And then the court system, as you know, court system has issues. We know that in the Kenyan government.
Right.
Court has issues. It's in the public domain. The gentlemen there have actually forgotten their jurisdictional function. They are serving on the interest. Look at the position in which the BBI was thrown. That was a political decision, not a legal decision. I was following properly. Where you are referring
I guess you're not anticipating
emotionally.
what will happen and what will come out from the Supreme Court hearings. And we'll leave it at that for them to go and retreat and make their decision.
Of course, the lawyers and the judges have under an umbrella of the Law Society of Kenya. I'm telling you, there's nothing new that will happen in the Supreme Court that did not happen in the High Court. People do appeal.
Of course.
So you can see openly that indeed the Kenyan politicians, people who we trust with our votes, they change and form friendship, and they feel now they support the president and forget the people they elected. And I'm very sure if you are given the time to go through the BBI, you as Shadrach, I as Mathews, would have looked in properly, analyze some of them, say this is an error, this is right, and this is right, this is wrong. But they rush into decision because they feel their interest. I'm not only saying that on the people that I support, even they have their mistakes. Me, there's nothing of there's lack of double standard here. All of them have interest, and they're serving individual or their master who feel that this thing is favored. But we only looked at a small percentage, 3% of it, and they say the top, if the hair is not shaved, then the person won't have the brain.
Right.
That's all.
And now we are headed into a general election 7 months away. How critical is this election in shaping up the future of the youths?
I will say, and I repeat this, the good about election, the bad about election is about the youth. If youths remain united, instead of wasting the 7 months fighting and running with the road, looking for the economy on how we'll build, election will come like any other day. Christmas has come, we fight. New Year comes, it goes away. Election is just a 24-hour day. We should just mobilize ourselves, follow this politics, take the right position, and then do election and continue the economy. But if youths have decided to waste time and become idling and fighting, we'll have chaos and we'll even move up to 2028 or so,
with
still
some problems.
nursing the injuries of the election of 2020.
Right. And of course, in this period of which we've seen quite a number of political rallies here and there, youths have also been accused of being used by leaders to cause chaos, mayhem, running battles here and there. And of course, does not paint a good picture as far as youth's role into our politics is concerned. And I want to get your sentiments out from the different rallies. I know you've understood me. How do you feel we can stop this?
I'm saying we already begin this. We are saying that youths are now partners in politics. It's not coming, it's already happening. Because us as youths who have been given position to leadership, we have not limited ourselves to Mombasa only. In fact, me, I've got out of that college politics. We are playing the outside politics, the national politics, not even the county politics. We want to ensure that across the country we have as many youths in positions as possible.
Right.
And me, I'm never tribal. I move across the Kalenjins, the Maasai, we even move with the Maasai Samburu for getting what opinion of the leadership. Because I know, and I told you, in the short period of like 10 years, which I qualify to, run for this country and the president of this country. We have been having issues around across the country.
Right.
So it's high time the youth, and I am telling you that it's not going to happen. But I'm telling you the election of this 2022 will be different. Because we are moving the youth. We youth have decided that we are going to elect our leaders. And therefore we have no reason to fight and waste time. With this energy will be brought and support leaders, youth to become leaders in this country.
Right.
And we will not be used this time around for politics. The youth have decided, and very soon we'll give a very big tsunami here. We'll take direction. This time around, youth will take the direction.
Well, you know, we need to
and we'll give them the direction on where other youths should take and put their votes.
Right.
We'll give them in the public domain.
Don't you think that one will be interfering with the person's democracy of deciding for himself?
Not really. I have said this representative. If I represent, that don't mean that I'm denying you from making decisions.
Right.
The people who we represent. And we are saying that the youths who are being given position in leadership will give it the direction, of course, after consulting them.
Okay. Now, also, we want to look at how things are happening here in Mombasa County, out from the national politics. And of course, still the fact that you're within Mombasa County, and we've got quite a number of institutions like the one which you lead, you as a student leader, and looking at the current situation as far as the youth representation here in Mombasa, how do you feel is it?
As far as the government or the youth and leadership?
Youth and leadership.
Okay. The point here is that as youths, we are working to ensure that we unite our fellow youths and educate them about leadership. So as far as presentation is concerned, the leaders around Mombasa youth are sober people, smart people, and visionary enough to make the right decision for the people. And therefore the institutions and even the youth leadership, we are really up to the mantle, and thus we are ready to fight. And that's why I'm telling you we are going to give a direction. We are going to meet as the leaders in Coast Region, not only Mombasa. And we'll give the electorates who are youths, the elites, who will listen to us, will give you a direction. And we'll welcome all the media stations. We'll give the direction, and this is the people we're going to support. And I'm telling you, as I told you, I will only vote if a youth is vying for a position. Right. So we are going to fight and ensure that our leaders, youthful, are elected to this elected position. We want way to be nominated. We want to be elected.
Right. In line that you students leaders are in place in your capacities at different positions that you hold, there is so much that is happening within Mombasa County and in our institutions that affect our youths in one way or another. We're seeing quite a number of youthful deaths coming in our institutions here and there. There has been a lot in line with also improvement of our institution of learnings and the few challenges that most youths are facing in these institutions. How far have you gotten in solving some of these problems?
So I will go one by one because as I told you, leave alone the institution. Kenyan security is threatened. You look at most of those deaths because of security. Because why should I kill you without somebody knowing that I'm killing you? The government has not invested adequately to ensure the security is guaranteed for everything. And that's why democratic life. Government is survived about 5 policies. Sovereignty, jurisdiction, law enforcement. And I'll dwell specifically on law enforcement. The government, police, and the police fraternity should ensure that there's adequate security. And that's what we're saying as youth. And that's what we're saying we have to let youth to become leaders so that they know the problem that we're facing as young people. We know that campuses and colleges across the country, not only in Mombasa, they are facing a lot of deaths because of insecurity. Because you have to learn, you maybe have a part-time class of up to maybe 9 or 8. You have to live all the way to Kisauni. Then you feel you have been killed. Or somebody, a fellow youth, takes advantage of maybe the little that phone that you have. Go and take it by force and say that this is the only asset I have. You have to defend that. And therefore you lose your life. So unfortunate. So it's such an unfortunate situation. But again, we have to say that, of course, security begins with you. But again, the government has let us down as leaders and as youths in this country because we are the people who work tirelessly across the 24-hour economy.
Is it something that you've raised an alarm about?
So many occasions. So many occasions. I even have a case in court where my son was killed. You go to court, even the court, the kind of witnesses they bring, really they have witnesses in the court, in the cases. Something that is really paining. You see, a clear evidence is that you've died. So you don't need another evidence. So the person who is answerable to your death and is known by the public should be taken an action. So this is something we raise alarm several times. Even you go to clips on the YouTube and other things, it's something we raise alarm several occasions. But the government, they cheat you, they bring some police that today run around, and then this goes. Tomorrow another story. Wait till you see. You'll hear the number of killings happening across. And some of these people who do this kind of job are supported by also leaders we elect. And they finance them also.
Very true.
So unfortunate.
Now, when we hear such a response from you, Mr. President, and we as students who we are within the institution, and we elected you to be there for us and speak about our issues, and what assurity do we have, in essence, that whatever we are facing will be taken good care of, and some of the few problems will be sorted out?
Okay, fine. The direction is changing, and we are saying that one, first of all, is good. Let me ask you. Do you think the president of this country knows that kuna Kcnp? Can you use that?
Not really.
Can you even reach him? Can you even reach him?
No way.
The common mwananchi faces that. How many times have you lost your phone along the streets and nobody even have the evidence about that? So it is high time that I'm telling you we have to elect youths who knows the problem of these things. Anajua kuna Kcnp. Akitembea na laptop yake vizuri inaweza enda. So such kind of things are some of the changes we have already begun with. And again, we are making calls because we have made a lot of calls. Sometimes when you call too much and no response, there's no need of calling. So we have to find a way of your own. And that's saying we are going to find our own networks to ensure that, and even those who implement these policies, that the youths, but again, the old people have taken them off to protect their wealth and other things. Look at how banks are guarded. You have money in the bank, it may be 5,000 or 10,000. But the people who edit the bank are the top people in the government. But their money is secured. We took security. But life, we don't care so much about. Look at how exams are supervised in this country. For example, how we wish we would be safeguarding our money of the economy and also the life of the people who generate this money will be very fast. So the government has let us down as student fraternity, and that's why we are saying we want somebody who can implement peace, because with peace, security is guaranteed.
Right. I guess you must take me back to the somebody I know. Last but not least here now, youths feel like it's quite a hopeless nation as far as the youth is concerned here. And we feel maybe to some extent we could find ourselves into another country elsewhere, not Kenya, simply because of the few problems that we are facing that we think and feel that we are not going to find a solution to them. I want you to speak some bit of hope to your fellow youths who are watching you currently, and maybe where do you think they should rely on in terms of building back the hope to build up the nation?
Youths, this country is clearly in our hands as youths. And we as youths, we have to stand for this life. We must stop that the people who become leaders here, they must have studied Kenya briefly and went abroad. And I give example of the likes of Ledamo Lekina, the senator of Narok County. Other leaders, Murkomen, went outside and studied, then became leaders.
Right.
We have to generate our own leaders who understand the dynasty and the position of the government in this country. So there's really big hope that we can change the slogan and the perception about our country. But again, we have to rise to these positions. Number one, we have to ensure that we look for self-employment to revive the economy. Instead of thinking of being employed, let's think to be employers so that we generate people. Like I say, and I celebrate myself, I say that there's no day I will ever knock to look for an employment in this position.
What do you mean?
I mean that. I'm almost at just some months away from 30. And I'm telling you, there's no day I will ever knock to look for it.
And do you think that is also quite another problem that most youths have? They just go to school and do these institutions.
It's high time youth stop becoming independent. We have to become dependent. That's time when you become independent, even the respect you gain. People will consult you. Look at yourself. If you go to a society and you are dependent, people respect you even. So we are not respected as youth because we need handouts. We want to depend on them, but we rather restructure ourselves in positions, in partnership, in farming and agriculture, other things. We sort into business and then ensure that we are safe as a country. When you have something in the pocket, my friend, you're very okay. Right. That's the time a person can make very good decisions because you're very sober. You're not influenced by anybody.
Right.
You'll support a politician because you love his policies, but not because he won't give you a handout. Yes.
Of course. Someone may have listened to you very keenly and interested to meet you. Where can they find you exactly?
I'm in the media. I'm in Facebook. I'm in Instagram. I'm in Twitter. Mathews Okello, across the board. And I've gone in Mombasa. We are around. Our phone, we only use one contact. If it's in the public domain, if you want to reach Mathews Okello, you can reach him free. And we are discussing this. We want youths around Kenya to ensure that we are in public and fighting for what's right for us, other than keeping back at home and keeping quiet.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Right, we do appreciate your time, Mr. President. And of course, I expected to see some bit of security around, but are you okay with the way you are?
In Seychelles, the president respects the people than people respect the president. Therefore, you only safeguard yourself if you will do the wrong things.
All right.
I believe I don't do the wrong things. Why should I walk the big security around? I should enjoy the freedom. I'm looking for a situation where the president of this country will be walking in the streets without a bodyguard. I'll be very happy.
Can that happen?
Can that happen? With peace and democracy. It will happen.
Right.
And this enmity that we have to take wrong direction, even things are right, will be very okay. We'll say that this person has ideas. Let's share the ideas.